Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a few brawlers which I think have completely fell off in the meta. So we like to do this with every single update because I think it's very important to at least highlight a few brawlers which I've noticed have just really fallen off in terms of like the meta around them, in terms of maybe nerfs. I don't know, just a bunch of stuff going on. So the first brawler I believe has pretty much fallen off completely is Brock. So if you play Brock in ladder right now, you will notice just how bad he is, because pretty much any form of aggression is just going to hyper counter Brock, because the only way you can hit shots with Brock is if you keep your maximum distance. You know, if anyone's mid-range or close, it's really hard to hit shots with Brock. So this is why for me he's fallen off. Again, he's just been replaced in the heist meta. You think of all the best heist meta brawlers right now, one of the last options probably would be Brock. You'd rather go Colt, you'd rather go Melody, Chuck, Colette, 8-bit. There's just so more. Like, there's just so many better options. So I wouldn't even like really consider him either as a brawler to break open the map, because again, there's just so many aggressive options like Lily and Frank that can just dominate a Brock. And again, whenever there's like tanks in the meta, Brock just seems to suffer. So yeah, I've slated Brock a lot. And of course, in lower matchmaking, I always say with Brock that he'll always be pretty decent, because people don't know how to dodge the rockets. They're on low-end devices or they're lagging or something and they can't dodge him. But pro players, they just have a field day on Brock because he's just so easy to predict. Also, it's a fact that pretty much every other hypercharge in the game is just so much better than Brock. You think of all the other sharpshooters in the game, like Piper, Bell, I'm trying to think of other ones top of my head. Even the likes of Angelo just have more impactful hypercharges, whilst Brock is just forgotten about. So he's just not really prevailing. I got some good stats there because, as I said, he's still good against the casual play base, but I've just been noticing the meta really doesn't suit him. He could even be getting close to the D tier because of seriously how much the top end of the meta counts as this brawler. So that's going to be the first one. Let's hop into the next one. All right, guys, jumping into the next brawler who I believe has fell off a lot in the competitive meta, especially, it is going to be Miko. So this map is not in the rotation again, but I just think with Miko, he's just not really being utilized as much as a last pick as he used to in previous metas. Like, I feel like Miko was always a good late pick into so many different options, but again, just take a look at all the S-state brawlers in the game. They just clap Miko, and I feel like even a lot of like sharpshooters right now, they're starting to get some hypercharges, which is just making it a lot harder for Miko to always try and do something on the map. Good thing is, like I said, he's still like an annoying brawler to face off against, and he'll always have those really good matchups just like Mortis. But I think saying that he's A tier or B tier is a bit of a stretch now. He's only good in very, very obscure situations, and to me that doesn't scream A or B tier. That screams C tier, maybe even D tier. So he's always kind of lacked the DPS, and this meta is all about big damage, big tankiness. So of course Miko is going to get a little bit worse. So we're going to pop hypercharge here, try and do the thing where you pop the hypercharge before the super. That's going to get ultimate value. I don't know why Buster just stood still. We could have used this gadget to interrupt my hypercharge super there. I mean, I'm making things work because these guys are just terrible. You can still, if you're a good Miko player, you can always make things work because he has got some skill cap to him sometimes. But I mean, in this situation, I'm just spamming the auto aim button and Buster has given up. Things you hate to see. But yeah, I've absolutely destroyed these guys. So for me, I think he has fallen off. And compared to meta, he's definitely fallen off, because pros used to always be scared of Miko. Used to always have to consider Miko in the meta, but I feel like there's just so many stun gadgets, so many hypercharges that can just burst him down quickly. And the good thing is as well, like for example, Buster should actually counter Miko, because you can like time it to perfection when he jumps in. You can just gadget and then shoot again, and you like two-shot him. BB as well, you can knock him back. I feel like you just need that good timing and patience to counter Miko now. I don't think he's good against pros, so that's gonna be another overrated, well, brawler that's fell off. Let's hop into the next one. All right, guys, so jumping into the next brawler who I believe has fallen off, especially in this type of meta, it is Stu. So I will say the good thing about the meta and the tanks is that he gets a lot of supers, but the bad thing is, if you know how to draft and the opponent picks a Stu, just go high DPS, I mean high tanky brawlers, high HP, and you can just run all over a Stu. There's just nothing you can do when you're Stu against like, you know, Poco double tank, Draco, Byron, Kit. All of these brawlers are just way too strong for him. You think as well, Lily just evaporates him in an instant, like he doesn't even have time to react and he's just dead. You think as well, there's so many good throwers in the meta that just destroy him. Snipers can keep distance away from him. I just think he's dropping off. The good thing though is about Stu, he can still pop off. Like if you're a good Stu, got low ping, he can still make pop-off plays. Like he's not unusable, but the meta around him has made him very hard to use right now. And if you've probably seen tier lists or just seen the competitive play rate of Stu, he was already struggling a little bit in previous metas. I just always used to put him pretty high because I feel like the right player can always make Stu work, and he counters still so much in a 1v1. But the problem is, like, what can you do against Frank just running down at you? What can you do against Meg that just obliterates you in half a second? You can't really do much into that, and for that reason I just don't feel like I can go Stu into too many of the meta brawlers in the game right now. So again, you know, I'm against bad players, so I'm making it work pretty effectively. But I think the only, I was going to say like hot zone, but still, like Draco's just all in hot zone. There's so many Byron compositions, which again he can't keep up with because he has very limited DPS. Is there even a use case for Stu right now in the meta? I just don't really think so. He's just that kind of brawler when you're unsure on who to go. Maybe you can go Stu sometimes, but yeah, I think good players can just limit him, keep range, and not allow him to build up his super. So 15 seconds left. We've just been wiping the floor with these guys, and it's just been pretty plain and simple. I've just not been noticing him at all in the meta. Like, it's been a week since I've played. Well, a week since the update, and he's just nowhere to be seen, really. This is probably the first time I've saw him in a ranked game. I mean, I did pretty well, but that's because their composition was just absolutely terrible. So yeah, Stu only really okay in the hot zone and a few other scenarios. He's not trash, but he definitely has fallen off a lot. He used to always be A tier. I think C tier would be pretty fair for him now. Let's jump into the next one. All right, guys, so jumping into the final brawler who I believe has fallen off probably the most in the meta, and people just don't realize it. It has to be Eve. So Eve in the meta, no, I'm not playing her on the best map right now, but even on those maps with a lot of water, I just don't think she has the DPS to deal with this meta. I just don't think she can really keep up with all of this aggression with Max in the meta and all of these other snipers getting hypercharges. What role does Eve actually have? She's just there to just kind of be annoying, basically survivability. I mean, she can be good with some pinches, but let's be honest, who is joining in with some pinches in ranked? None of my randoms are. So what is the point of going to Eve? You need high DPS carry brawlers in this meta, and Eve is not one of them. Her main attack as well actually is pretty easy to avoid, and even like last month's monthly finals, I've seen the use rate for her go down. Even in the one prior as well, there's just been a downwards trend of Eve, because again, other brawlers are getting damage buff, other brawlers are getting hypercharges, other brawlers are getting reworks, whilst Eve is just getting nothing. So naturally she's just going to fall down in the meta. I think the only good map in the new ranked rotation has to be probably Canal Grande, where she'll always be okay because at least she's not going to get spawn trapped easily. That's the only reason I would use her. Like, out in the open, I don't think she's great on anymore. I've not been seeing her much in competitive. I can't see it. Like, especially like in the knockout bounty meta, there's just too much Byron, there's too much kit, and she just can't really do anything into them. So for me, I think Eve just isn't in a great spot right now. Could definitely need a little bit of love again. She was, ever since I think she received like a damage buff like a year ago, she was like steady 80 for a long time. But right now, I mean, just disregard the stats because this is ranked. I just think she's pretty much fallen off. Like, at least she's just okay against some compositions on certain maps, but to me, I've just been seeing her go down and down and down, and I think C tier probably is where she's going to stay. So she's not bad, but it's a fall off, right? She used to be A tier, consistent on so many different maps. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know down in the comment section below who you think has fallen off the most. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.